Hey, Charlie Cadaver here again. I just want to take a quick moment to um, demonstrate a quick technique that I use for plastic welding. Instead of stuff like JB Weld plastic bonder, says it takes 15 minutes. Well, it's more like 50 minutes. Yeah, that can make your wrist and fingers very tired holding something up for moments, times like 1,000. When it should be just 15 minutes. So I typically will use on certain things super glue, um, and then I use this professional series soldering gun. It's Weller. It's the 300 200 series, and this thing's awesome because it doesn't take an hour to heat up something like your typical little handheld, like a pencil type style soldering iron. Um, well, for here, I have already taken some super glue. Typically, I like using Gorilla type shit, and I will put it between the two surfaces and then melt away. As you can see, just for shits and giggles, I just a moments ago did that with this scissors. Had a hairline crack going across right here, as you can see the rough surface, which I really don't care about because this is the scissors I use for my packaging my eBay items that I sell, auto parts stuff, mainly LSX parts that are takeoffs from various engines and stuff that either I rebuild and do not need. There's my birdie. Here's an LS motor here. There's an LS2 sitting back there, going in this old 85 Z28 that I've had since high school, which I graduated 2003. Not that you guys care, but so I do a lot of used parts sales on eBay. Normally, roughly about an extra $15 to $2,000 profit a month in my pocket, easily. Been about 5,000 with this Corona crap going on. Anyway, so as you can see here, I also just a dustpan. Again, shits and giggles, just to show. There was a crack here. It started spreading right there as well. But there was an itty bitty hole, which I tried to melt more over to cover up. But you can see there is quite a little dip, which means it's probably really paper thin in this area. So I got just a plain little plastic part, which actually is a little clip that holds what is this one, the injector wire harnesses to the coil brackets on an LS truck motor, or even a car LS motor as well. But this is Gen 3 truck little clip. As you can tell, it's the skinnier one to hold the wire looms. But anything plastic will also do. Let's put this down. Let's see what kind of stand this up in a certain way. There's a little shipping scale for my little plastic parts that are under a pound I send out, or actually it goes up to about like 2 or 3 pounds, whatever. Typically it'll weigh stuff like a LS truck throttle body. It's about 3 pounds. So let's say I'm gonna get this to somehow stand up. Nope. Ay. There you go. So let's see. I'm gonna take this maybe break the little piece off. Well, that's still kind of hot, so I don't want that tip of that soldering gun to just lay anywhere. Let's see here. Looking for a pair of dikes or diagonal cutters. Dikes for short. There we go. You see, diagonal cutters or dikes. Yeah, they give a quick, clean cut. They're just your typical ABS type plastic stuff. See, I got this little tiny plastic piece. And let's see if I can get this in a good view of the camera. Move this. Let's see here. Got this plugged in over down there. So let's see. Oops. Probably shouldn't have that on video. I'll have that. Never know what kind of strangers might, decide to, roll up on me in my garage. Believe it or not, I've had people walk right up to me here in my driveway, and people I've never met, junkies, backpacks, walking through the neighborhood type, asking for cigarettes and stuff. And well, I got kids, and I got a dog who, she doesn't know she's a vicious breed. She's a sweetheart. 85-pound lap dog pit bull. Anyway, so here we go. Little plastic piece is kind of in place. So here we go. We'll turn this on. Moved. Alright. It's kind of hard to tell. Again, the light, I'm blocking the light over from that angle. So here we go. Alright, so as you can see, that hard piece of plastic now become soft putty. So I'm going to spread that into that little thin part of the seam that I made. Let's see, I can get some more plastic. I know this is a lot of work for just a 99-cent or, for $1 dustpan from Dollar Tree, but it's, that flung off, went to nowhere land. But the whole purpose of this video is to show simple, cheap plastic welding technique if you have a decent soldering iron. Otherwise, if you have a very small one that it's like the $6 one you go to Walmart or the auto parts store to buy, it will literally take a good 5 minutes to heat up to do so. This literally takes about 5 to 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 10 seconds. And that was also me fumbling the piece. Oh, it dropped. Oh, ow, ow, ow. That's hot. Alright, yeah, that's good. Holding a camera doing this, not smart. You would think with all these fun cars I have, I'd have like a GoPro or some sort of fancy stand to record stuff, but no. I guess I'm just a dumbass. Anyway, this technique works. I mean, you could use even a plastic spoon you get from McDonald's or any gas station, or plastic knife, spoon, fork, whatever. It will melt and fill in any gaps. Of course, they don't really have blue plastic forks or any of that sorts, but you can tell here this was already nice and dry. You can see it's bonded. It is melted and intertwined, blah blah blah. This one's still a little tacky, so that one's not exactly dried yet. So I do this with literally anything plastic. I mean, here you got 85 millimeter truck or Z06 meth. If there was a crack in air, I would do the same thing. If there was, right here in the housing, you know, just grab both sides. Cosmetically is not, always the prettiest thing, but it works. It saves you from buying something new. This process works very well, and I love it for interior stuff on a car. Say an old gauge bezel, which I have done before many times. The last one was a early 90s, late 80s Ford Bronco. The plastic gauge bezel, which is what holds the gauge into the dash and secures it from falling in your lap if you step on the gas. But Ford doesn't have enough horsepower to do such a thing. But if it did, if it had an LS motor in it, it would for sure. So anyway, so anything plastic, literally, this trick works. If it's a nice clean break, like I said, I like to use any kind of super glue. I prefer Gorilla type products. I love them. It gives a quick bond to both surfaces, so you're not sitting there holding stuff, like wires. How pain in the butt, holding two wires together to try to solder. Even though they do make nice fancy things, like this little stand with, it's magnetic. So if you have something metal surface, see, and then they have these two alligator clips that you can position in different angles and ways, and you put one wire there, one wire here, or whatever, and the process would be whatever it is, just to hold both items in close to where they're close to touching, so you can take some solder and solder the two pieces together hands free, or gives you an extra two hands with this little guy. I love it. It's really, 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 and I mean really helpful with wires, especially when you're doing an engine wire harness, connecting two wires, cutting out a dead wire that got old, broke, crimped, somehow smashed from doing an engine swap, got stuck between the bell housing of the engine and the tranny or something, got pinched and it broke. Those will hold both sides together, and instead of doing a cheap, crimping them together, which, if you yank on it, might come loose, which I hate, you solder. Solder is the best way. Oh, some guy honking at somebody, who knows. Soldering is the best way for electrical wires. If you're going to do something right, do it. If you're going to do something, do it right. Plain and simple. Don't half-ass something, especially with wiring. You don't want a loose connection or a bad connection, which sometimes crimping it can. I mean, typically if I have to crimp something, quick with a butt connector, I'll use a pair of dikes. So it gives a nice tight squeeze on both sides with the barrel or butt, and it does smash into the wire, so it's nice and tight. And then to extra secure it, I don't like using electrical tape right away because, you know, that's kind of sloppy and crappy. So you want to always use something like this. This is shrink tubing. Once you slide the wire in after soldering them together, you obviously put this on the wires first and put it off to the side where you're soldering, and then when you're done you slide it over the point that you soldered and you heat it up with a lighter even, and it will shrink and seal tightly both, you know, the soldering joint that you just made, the point that you soldered, the two wires together, and then you can use electrical tape on the outer edges just to make sure it's even extra airtight so that water doesn't get in there or any corrosion of that matter. I mean, they do have the liquid electrical tape stuff too, which works pretty decent, but I am accustomed to liking and using just heat shrink tubing. So that was a little bit extra than just a quick video on plastic welding, but let's see. Got any more points in here? Oh, yep, there's that hole right there. I knew there was a hole somewhere. I couldn't see from the other side. So, I got this guy still plugged in. Yeah, I guess we really don't need that big of a piece. So, I'm going to get my diagonal cutters or dikes. You know, pretty much pliers with a nice beak on them to pinch and cut. Oh, come back here, phone. Alright. So, that's over a little 99-cent freaking dustpan. Well, I hope somebody learned something out of this video. I mean, just little things that I've done over the years, noticed to do. And I'm sure I'm not the only person. I hope I'm not the only one with a brain for creativity. I mean, I've turned, 13-hour jobs into, 2.5 hours, in the flat rate sense. But, no, I'm not the dumbest or the dullest crayon in the box. I'm close to the brightest, but I want to go that far. I mean, I know I'm pretty clever. So, here I'm just kind of trying to smoothen the seam out just a little bit more, and that's just, touching it and gently going over it. I mean, that looks a lot cleaner than bubblegum crap. But, hey, it's gonna stay until, my wife throws it down or something again and whatnot. Smashes into it, or the dog trips over it because the dog thinks she's the only one in the world. Anyway, so that is my plastic welding quick and very, very, very cheap fix. And I swear that will work with anything ABS type plastic in general. I mean, say there is a crack in this little cover for my compressor. Same thing. I would do the exact same thing. If I could put the two sides together, if I absolutely would put a little bit of glue and then heat that up, and when the glue burns with the soldering gun, you want to be in a vented area or a fan blowing away the fumes of this area away from you, because if you have this, any kind of super glue, and heat it up like that with a soldering gun, I promise you it will burn your eyes. So anyway, hope y'all learned something, and good luck in your endeavors of plastic welding. Charlie Cadaver out.